This is why this airport is open. This is why these new flights are happening, because people are traveling. They're able to travel, and it's because of the vaccine.
At least one major airline tells us it's seeing more domestic leisure travelers than ever before, and those numbers are only going up. This American comeback story is over a year in the making. With more than half of America's adult population fully vaccinated, Americans are out in force. Air travel shattering not just records, but projections too. More than 7 million people screened at U.S. airports between Thursday and Sunday. From beaches to barbecues, from parks to parades, scenes of American life like we haven't seen in over a year. Those stunning images from the Indy 500, the biggest sporting event in the world since the start of the pandemic, packed with 135,000 fans.
The fans are back in the stands.
More signs that the U.S. could be returning to normal. New York City dropping its indoor dining curfew overnight, and today, Vegas is officially fully open, lifting capacity limits citywide. The U.S. is now averaging less than 20,000 new COVID cases a day. That's the lowest number of cases in more than a year.
A candlelight vigil in Tulsa, Oklahoma, honoring the victims of one of the worst cases of racial violence in American history.
It's finally being acknowledged what our ancestors went through.
100 years ago, a mob of white men burned down Tulsa's Greenwood district, a thriving economic hub known as Black Wall Street, all after unproven allegations that a black man had assaulted a white woman in an elevator. An estimated 300 black people were killed. Nearly 200 black-owned businesses were destroyed. No one was ever held accountable. Today, President Biden visits Tulsa to meet with survivors like 107-year-old Viola Fletcher. She, along with her parents and siblings, fled the mob.
I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot.
Fletcher testified in Congress as part of a lawsuit against the city and others, seeking to be paid the estimated $1.8 million in property loss claims back then. Meanwhile, some worry the effort to teach children about what happened here could be derailed. It took until 2019 for the state to require lessons on the tragedy to be included in history classes. But now, critics say a new bill signed by the governor could be a setback. The bill bans the teachings of so-called critical race theory in public schools. This morning, descendants of the Tulsa Massacre victims vow to keep fighting for justice.
It's a terrible legacy. And I think that Tulsa has an opportunity to be the crucible for the reckoning.